You have to reframe it and treat them as lessons rather than failures, because failures hurt you, whereas lessons actually improve you because they give you a little bit more knowledge of how not to do it, and then you can just improve on that every time.
How optimistic were you when you started your first business?
Extremely optimistic. I thought that in a couple of months I get it done. Took about 6 months.
You jumped into AI customer service. Are you chasing a genuine opportunity or are you just jumping onto the bandwagon?
I think obviously this part of it is the excitement. Part of it I generally believe, because I see it in my day-to-day job, how impactful AI can actually be, especially within cybersecurity. Without AI right now in solutions, there's no way you can stand a chance against cyber attacks.
What are the signs that we can look out for when trying to spot if we receive a fake email or a scam email?
Go with the mindset of always not trusting emails.
Tell me about Dynamic AI.
The vision of the company and the aim of the company is just to help businesses actually implementing this technology and not be sort of skeptical or afraid of it.
AI customer service, is exploding. Is it helping customers or is it just replacing humans with chatbots that pretend to care?
It's a good question.
Is this your first attempt at starting a new business?
It's not. No, it's not. We got it pretty much all the way up to releasing it, and then exams came, and I had to kind of choose: do I pursue this? Do I drop out?
First time you tried to start a business, unfortunately, education came in the way. You had to make a big choice: exams or entrepreneurship, and you chose exams. Do you regret choosing that?
Hard to say, really.
Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 11 of the FMU Founders Mindset Unfiltered podcast. I'm joined here today with a guest who is currently in the industry of AI. He specializes in AI cybersecurity. However, 2 months ago, he made a jump to customer service, still in AI, but he helps founders and mid-market teams unlock growth by turning manual, time-draining workflows into AI-powered systems. Even though he may be a new startup, his experience and expert knowledge in the industry overpowers any doubts. As for the last nearly 4 years, he has been working very hard and explored the actual depths of AI. Guys, without further ado, I would love to welcome Carlo Loregian onto the podcast. Carlo, it's lovely to have you join us today.
Thank you, Albert. Good to be here. Big intro. Hope I can live up to that.
No, let's see. How's your day been?
Yeah, it's been good. Busy, as you can imagine. But yeah, it's been a good day.
Carlo, you work in cybersecurity by day, but you jumped into AI customer service. Are you chasing a genuine opportunity or are you just jumping onto the bandwagon?
So, it's a very good question. I think obviously right now there's loads of people trying to do AI agencies, loads of people jumping onto AI because it's the new flashy thing. You know, the woman in the red dress that is walking past. I think obviously this part of it is the excitement. Part of it I generally believe, because I see it in my day-to-day job, how impactful AI can actually be, especially within cybersecurity. Without AI right now in solutions, there's no way you can stand a chance against cyber attacks. So I kind of take that philosophy, and I think you can apply it to a lot of different things. Like I personally believe that a lot of the manual work that we currently do, the mind numbing work that we do on a day-to-day basis, can easily be replaced and sort of automated away. And you should be right, because as humans, we're not meant to be machines that are just constantly repetitively doing the same things. So I definitely feel like, yes, there is some excitement and maybe jumping on the bandwagon on that front, but I generally do see the potentials of the technology applied in our sort of day-to-day jobs.
There's so many different levels to AI. You can use it for so many things. Well, where did your interest come from first for AI and also for what you do now, which is customer service?
Initially, it kind of stemmed from I've always been a techie. When I was little, I've always been sort of messing around with technology. I'm an engineer, so I studied mechanical engineering. Always been very interested in robotics. Always been interested in sort of like how technology actually works and in the real world as well. Obviously, most of our world today is digital, so there was kind of a transition between obviously the physical world, the mechanical side of things, to the digital world. So that was kind of where it birthed my initial interest in the technology. Um, and then in terms of customer service, is purely a problem that I've personally experienced within my own company. You'd think that we're a AI first company, we'd have everything like clockwork, automated, super efficient. Is not. And I saw this in my company, and I said, well, if we're so technical as a company, I would imagine that other companies that are maybe less technically inclined also have this issue. So I'm kind of testing the idea right now and seeing where it can fit within industries.
So why jump to customer service? Because surely working on an AI-based cybersecurity solution would have suited your expertise more.
Yeah, that's a fair question. Primarily, it's because I, well, one of the reasons is because I'd be directly competing with my own company that I'm working for now, which is obviously I'm sure that I have something to say about that. Secondly, I see how um, much of a moat that my company has in terms of the technology they have, the know-how, the R&D that they've put in. And if I'm starting now to try and tackle the same problem, it would take me so long. I'll basically just get crushed by trying to tackle the same problem. Obviously, there's different levels to it as well. In cybersecurity, there's loads of different areas you can actually tackle. We tackle particular layers of the security stack. Um, but it was primarily just to do with the fact that for me to get to the level where I want to be at, it basically would take me the length that is taking my company, which is 10 to 15 years, with PhDs under my belt and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of like a decision to be, okay, well, I can maybe start at the lower end of the spectrum, kind of the easier sort of tasks that still haven't been automated, the easier sort of to access type tasks, and then kind of go from there, really.
Now, what is the difference between a normal cybersecurity specialist and an AI cybersecurity specialist?
The reason why there's a little difference there is uh, because of the technology that my company sells, um, is centered around primarily AI. Obviously, there's loads of companies now that have bolted on AI technologies to their existing stack. So they basically had the technology they had before, added some AI features into it, and now they say they have an AI solution. Whereas the company or the technology rather that Darktrace has is the opposite. It starts with AI at the core and then has everything else around it. So it's all the conversation that we have and all the sort of implementations that I'm involved in is always to do with AI and like how it's working, how it's responding to things. So it's very much cybersecurity centered around AI rather than the opposite.
I'm sure you know there's quite a few security challenges that have emerged in the industry in cybersecurity. Is this due to the rapid rise of AI?
In part, yeah. In part, it's so when ChatGPT came out and LLMs, as you can imagine, it basically brought down the barriers of access, barriers to entry, essentially, for not only people that wanted to be a little bit more technical, like coding apps. You have Lovable, you have Visio.dev, all of those apps. So you can now prompt things and you create your own app. Equally, there's the other side of the coin, which is the negative side, which is there's also a lot of people, that attackers that aren't technical, to be able to one craft very sophisticated phishing emails. You no longer have the Nigerian prince with grammatical errors within the email. You now have actually um, very sophisticated emails that look exactly like what you'd expect from a company. Very well crafted. They actually the current security tools are actually not able to catch those because they're so sophisticated that they don't match up with the old ways of doing phishing emails, for example. So definitely on that side. So it's brought down the barriers to entry for attackers. Secondly, also as more attacks have occurred successfully, attackers have realized that actually I can do this to everyone. It's basically almost brought awareness of how vulnerable companies actually are. And they not only started to target now bigger companies. So before it was like, well, the big companies have a lot of money, so I'm going to target them. They've actually started to target now in mass smaller companies because they're easier to target. They have less budget to allocate to security, so they're able to essentially have easier access and do smaller ransoms, if you like, but more volume. So overall, you actually get more for your buck, if you like.
Have you faced any of these challenges recently?
What do you mean? Any attacks?
Yes, any attacks?
So yes, I have been involved in a few. A few of my clients were unfortunately attacked before our technology was actually put in place. So that's kind of why they came to my company to say, well, this is what happened. Can you help us fix it? Type thing. And it's actually quite scary to think what can happen because there was a few that there was one in particular. There was a production plant. So what happens is if you can hack a production plant, you actually can bring down the production, and the production is the main source of revenue for a company. So bring down the production, bring down the revenue. The company's under financial pressure to actually pay the attackers to stop the attack. So it's almost like a double vice that you're under, double pressure. So that's obviously very, very delicate situation. And then I saw another one where it was slightly less sophisticated, but they basically were able to, they tried to scam a company of nearly £250,000 of a bank transfer. They basically infiltrated, changed the details of the email, sent it to the company. The company said, okay, well, let me just double check that those details are correct. And through physically calling the company, they figured out that it was actually a fake. But that happens so often, like especially attacks through email. They're the most common ones because it's so easily accessible. Everybody's got an email address. You don't need to be technical to be able to try to use that as an attack vector. So yeah, the most common ones come through there for sure.
Carlo, as you know, AI customer service, is exploding. If we compare it to 2 years ago to what it is now, it's growing at a rapid pace. Is it helping customers or is it just replacing humans with chatbots that pretend to care?
It's a good question. I mean, from my own experience with technical support or customer support, there's also a level, and not to generalize, obviously, there's some people that obviously even humans do care, but there are some humans that also don't really care about the job, not because they don't care personally, but because I think it's such a monotonous job that you have to do. It's very impersonal. Like it's not like me and you talking through a screen. It's you have a ticket, you reply on a ticket, you don't even know who the end person is. So it's very, very impersonal. So I think that level is yes, replacing humans, but it's also making it so that they don't have to do that kind of tedious, monotonous task that becomes very hard for I think a human to deal with in general. So yeah, obviously there is some level of replacement, but also I don't believe that it's a zero-sum game in terms of like the jobs that are in the world. Yes, you're replacing some, but you're also creating new ones off the back of that in other areas, of course, but you don't have a finite amount of jobs. Those will be sort of transmuted into other things. If that makes sense.
Now, do you think then we should trust companies that implement the use of AI solutions with our customer data? Because that's another big problem is data leaks. So do you think we should trust those companies that implement the use of AI?
Yeah, so that's actually something I've been diving into as well. Obviously, coming from a cybersecurity background, I understand that sort of issue very well. I think some of the things that can be explored as well is like internally hosted AI solutions, where, for example, instead of you sending data to OpenAI, for example, or data to Perplexity or those kind of like external companies are publicly accessible as well, you would have that hosted internally. Obviously, it's a less powerful model, but because you have it in-house, you're able to put in confidential information, and because it's not going anywhere, that's kind of where it stays. So that kind of solves that issue. Um, it's a very similar idea to how Darktrace tackles that problem as well. The company that I work for at the moment is the actual AI is hosted internally. So no data is going out. It's just staying where it is. So there's no confidential or data leaks. So data privacy stays there because the data residency is actually within the company itself. So yeah, it's of course an issue, and I think it's especially something that people should be careful of because, of course, if you are sharing confidential information, it's like posting on Instagram or LinkedIn. Here is my confidential information, and anybody can see it. So
Now, as you said, the company that you're working for now, which is Darktrace, they have measures that protect customer data. What are the measures that companies are starting to adopt to increase security from potential AI-based attacks? What's the step by step?
I think you definitely need some level of AI defense solution for sure. Especially because you basically need a system that can monitor what's going on inside of a company and can highlight when there are anomalies that are occurring within the company. So you need a system that basically has eyes on what's going on, and like a camera, let's say within a house, the camera can know what's going on. Yes, you have doors. Yes, you have windows. You can close them, but the attacker could be already inside. The thief could already be inside the house, and everything's closed. All looks fine, but the camera is actually picking up the fact that there's somebody running around and going through your stuff. So that's kind of what you need in companies. You need to make sure that you are actually having eyes on what's going on, and if anything is going on, you're then able to respond. So you're able to stop the thief, you're able to stop the attacker in real time because things happen very, very quickly. So I would say as a first step, if you don't already have something like that in place, have a monitoring solution that is able to detect in real time and stop in real time as well.
Does it ever get to a point where the attack done is irreversible?
Yeah, I mean, if you have like a ransomware attack, is basically when somebody basically hacks your system, hacks your servers, your computers, encrypts everything, so you're not able to access your files, you're not able to basically use a computer um, or any of the systems inside your company. If the attack is done well enough and is able to encrypt everything, and you haven't got any backups for what it used to be like, then you're kind of fucked. Yeah. Because you essentially don't you have nothing to go back to. You have to start from scratch. It's like factory reset, delete everything, start from new. So that's why most companies now have a backup. So they have like a disaster recovery or backups that are periodic, because you never know when something might break or when something might get hacked. Because unfortunately, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So you just have to make sure you stay on top of it and make sure that isn't the situation you can find yourself in.
Is this a mistake that companies are still making, not having backups?
I think at the moment, I've never run into a company that doesn't have backups. I think especially now with cloud, like for example, like OneDrive, Google Drive, those type of solutions, they're automatically backed up, so you don't have to worry about that. So if you're a new company now, you're using software as a service, so you're using those technologies, you're absolutely fine. You don't necessarily have to worry about that. Obviously, if you have more of a old approach, like legacy approach with physical servers in-house, then you should obviously make sure that that's the case. But I personally haven't run into anybody that is in that situation, luckily.
Now, as I said before, there's many uses for AI. One day you can go on ChatGPT and you can get all the answers to an exam. Another day you can make some videos that might go viral online. Unfortunately, people do use it in a bad way as well. They can do. Have you ever witnessed misuse of AI? And if so, could you elaborate?
Yes, going back to the example that was given earlier, about sophisticated emails that people are able to write now. they basically crafted this very, very good looking email that seemed like it was going from Disney Plus. It was like a subscription renewal coming to an end. And the user basically got this email, and it was actually go around loads of companies. Got this email, it basically said, renew now, put in your card details to renew. Extremely well crafted, had logos, the color tone was like the color theme was perfect, the writing was perfect. It literally looked so legit. And I think the only thing that we picked up on was the links underneath the button looked anomalous. They looked weird. They were going through a weird destination and had various different things under the hood that were wrong with it. And that's why we picked up on it. But that's a clear example of how it's being used right now, because you can generate logos. You can, you can get the logos from wherever, but you can, generate very well crafted emails quite easily, within 10 minutes, 15 minutes, if that. You can generate loads of emails, loads of different variants, spray them out to everyone, see which ones stick. And because you have those tools now, you have no barriers really to be able to do that.
I'd say it's more easier for you to notice a flaw in the emails, as you've been in the industry quite a long time. You know what you're looking for. Just for the audience at home and anyone watching, really, what are the signs that we can look out for when trying to spot if we receive a fake email or a scam email?
Go with the mindset of always not trusting emails. Like, always go with that mindset. Like, just because it looks like it's coming from Disney, let's say, doesn't mean it's actually coming from Disney. Just always double check. So what I would say is, instead of just, obviously, when you're going through your email, you have, for example, like the email address or the name that it's coming up with. Press on that, check the email. That is actually the email that you're expecting, or that it looks legit. Because most of the time, what they'll do is they'll put in Disney, but then the actual email is completely different. And usually you can spot it like that. Also, look at the links when you press on it. When you press on it, look at the actual link. Does the link look legit? Those types of checks, I would say, are the things that I personally do as well, because I've seen it so many times. It's kind of ingrained in me right now. But yeah, I would always start with the mindset of just like distrusting the email that you're receiving, or even the message. I'm sure you've received the Royal Mail. You've just received the package. Every parcel, all of those. Even when I receive legit ones, now I'm like, oh, that's definitely spam, even if it isn't. So yeah, I would definitely start with that mindset.
Is this because, obviously, the misuse of AI, is this due to the regulations of AI use being loosely regulated?
Yeah, there's definitely some element of that, I would say. I think as historically as well, we've always struggled as humans to regulate new technologies. It's almost like it's always been, technology has come out, then we've regulated. Issues have happened, then we've regulated it. It's always been that sort of step, like succession of steps. So I think there's part of that as well. There's part of it as well that I think, because of the pace at which we're releasing AI models as well, we struggle to actually understand how capable they are and to put proper guidelines in place. Because, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure everybody's seen it. You can easily, if you ask a direct question like, write me a phishing email, I'm not going to give you a phishing email. If you ask it like a backhanded question, like, if you're an attacker, how would you possibly write this type of thing, or how would you spot a type of email? Give me an example. Then it will probably spit it out, because it doesn't actually realize what you're doing. And I think those are very hard to actually build into the technology, because you almost have to think of all the possible options, of all the possible questions somebody could ask, and then sort of put guidelines in place against that, which is obviously extremely hard. It's almost impossible. So I think we still haven't figured out that sort of very, very effective guidelines that we can put in place to avoid that. There's also the issue. It's not really an issue, but it's probably a symptom of open source models. Obviously, open source models, extremely good for advancing actual technology, because it gives access to people that can then develop it. For people that don't know what open source is basically, for example, OpenAI is closed off. You're not able to edit the actual model that's underneath ChatGPT. But what some companies are doing, and OpenAI has done this recently. They can release a version of the model that you can access and edit and customize to your own needs. You can sort of change it to how you want it. Um, and with that, obviously, people are taking it and then changing it for bad sort of applications. So that's obviously very hard to govern. It's almost impossible. But I think that's the it's almost like an inevitable step of any new technology that comes in place. It's kind of like social media. Social media is amazing for spreading information, staying in contact with people, even just be able to like share your own brand and have your own business, sharing the things you love about whatever subject you're speaking about. It obviously has the other side of the coin, which is the negative side. Which how do you govern against that? I don't know.
Now, you currently have a business that you started 2 months ago, very fresh,
Early stages, yeah, early doors.
called Dynamic AI.
Yes,
Is this your first attempt at starting a new business?
it's not. No, it's not.
Okay, what happened to them? What happened to the
The first one was a project that I did with a couple of mates in uni. It was basically if you like Tinder for sports. So basically, it was, let's say you want to go play tennis in a new city. Very common for students, especially in the UK. You obviously go off to halls. You're in a new city. You don't know anyone. You love tennis. You want to play tennis. So you get in the app. You basically scroll left or right with who you want to play with. You match. You go play a match. You can book the court and do all that. So that was the first idea. We got it pretty much all the way up to releasing it, and then exams came, and I had to kind of choose: do I pursue this? Do I drop out and focus on this? I chose obviously drop doing the exams, and that we kind of lost momentum and never picked it up again. So who knows what could have been if I kept that going. Um, and then I did a couple of other projects in the interim, but never really focused on it too much because I was kind of starting a new career, so I was focusing on that. So this is kind of the second most sort of intense attempt that I've had at this. Um, so definitely learned so much from the first go. Um, I think some of the things that we struggled with, especially in the beginning, was like building it before actually getting it out to people. So we didn't speak to anyone. We kind of just echo chambered between us, thought about all the features that we should build into it, made this massive app with loads of features, never actually got to the point where we released it. But I think what I've learned since is like, okay, well, the first version is gonna be absolutely awful. But as long as it solves the core issue, then you can get it out there. So it's kind of what I've been doing this time around is there's obviously I have like very, very bare bones um, technology. It doesn't look great. It's not super flashy, um, but it works. It has the bare bones of it, which is exactly what you need. And you should start talking to customers, start iterating, and that's kind of like how you should do it. Which is obviously the first time you do it, you kind of never know. The first time round.
Well, the first time you tried to start a business, unfortunately, education came in the way. You had to make a big choice, exams or entrepreneurship, and you chose exams. Do you regret choosing that?
Hard to say, really. Um, I think part of me, yes, because it's something I really wanted to do. Um, at the same time, there's also the risk of if it didn't go anywhere, then I would have just wasted 4 years and no degree, and then no job after that. So I guess that was kind of the split moment. My life could have gone two completely different ways. Um, yeah, to be honest, part of me, of course, does because it's what kind of always wanted to do. Um, I think my risk aversion kind of got the better of me on that occasion. Um, and I think it's kind of the system that we live in as well. We're not necessarily encouraged to like try different things, or it's kind of like it's hard to get out of that bubble once you're in it. To like try different things or go the sort of uncommon route. So yeah, I definitely do still think back at it sometimes, and I'm like, what could have been?
Yeah. But you're here now. You didn't let your first failure stop you. Didn't let your second failure stop you. Why did you keep going?
Um, because it's something that is just constantly just kind of with me. Like I think about it all the time. It's something that I'm naturally drawn to. Like I read about it all the time, especially like AI entrepreneurship. They're kind of like my two main focus topics. Like I just read about it in my spare time, watch videos on it. It's always something that I'm interested in. Um, so I think with that it's kind of like, okay, well, if I'm really serious about it, if I'm really interested in it, then why not actually just give it another go? Um, and you kind of hear, I think Alex Hormozy says it a lot, is like you only fail if you stop trying. Um, which is true. Like it's never gonna be it's never gonna work the first time, it's not gonna work the second time, it's probably not gonna work after 100 times. But eventually if you persist, you're actually gonna make it work. So I think if I had persisted the first time round, it would have worked, because I now see apps that did the same thing that we did a couple of years later. So if you just persist, eventually you'll get your breakthrough and you make it work.
If we stick to the theme of entrepreneurship and starting a business from these previous failures, what were the lessons that you've learned and now you can avoid when it comes to this time around?
I think the main one is uh, trying to go solution first, problem second. Like I have a cool idea in my head. Let me make it. Let me see who I can sell it to. That I think that's been the biggest thing for me, is the realization that is actually the opposite way around. First, find who to serve, then find the solution that you're going to use to solve the problems of the people that you're trying to serve. Which I still find it hard now, because I I get like a million ideas a day. So I'm always like, okay, well, that would be cool. That would also be cool. Let me try and start making that. But I have to like restrain myself and think, is anybody actually going to need this? Is it actually solving an issue, or is this just a cool idea that I want to make? Um, so I would say that that's the primary one. And then the second one is just persistence, like I was mentioned earlier. Don't give up the first time it gets hard, or the first few times that it gets hard. Just persist, and eventually, through pivoting, through lessons that you're going to learn through the failures, you're gonna end up making it eventually.
How do you find the right people on who to serve?
Good question. To be honest, I'm kind of on that journey right now. I think through you obviously want to make a business that pays you well. That gives you freedom, because at the end of the day, that's kind of why we do what we do. Um, so you want to be working in an industry that actually can buy what you're offering, so that has money, purchasing power. You want to be in a growing market, so a market that actually is expanding. For example, like if you go to, I don't know, newspapers, uh, that's not a growing market. So yes, they may have money, but over time, your your ability to actually sell a solution is going to shrink. So that's not where you want to be. Um, addressing those two main things, and then obviously people that you may already have like a um, knowledge of the industry in. So for example, for me, that would be cybersecurity or AI, because you kind of already know what the issues are. You already know what things people are looking for, how things work within the industry. You may already have a network, that type of thing. So I would address those main points and kind of just iteratively just try and address those. Okay, well, let me try and speak to these people, see what problems they have. Do I like those problems? Yes, no, move on to the next. So again, it's an iterative process of finding that you're never going to wake up one day and say, that's the one I'm going to serve. I think over time it's gonna present itself to you.
Now, you also mentioned pivot before as well. How do you know on when to draw that line and pivot? Because a lot of entrepreneurs now, they keep going, and they just don't know when to call it quits when the business isn't doing too well. How do you know when to do that?
It's a hard question, I think, to answer properly. Um, I think what I'm doing at the moment is setting clear goals and clear cutoff points. um, because you don't want to drag something out, and you want to keep yourself focused. At least I need that. So what I've been doing is, okay, well, I'll give myself a month. I'll test this idea. If I don't achieve X, Y, Z by the end of the month, then move on to the next one and try again. So kind of keeping that frame, it puts pressure on you to actually get it done. It's kind of like when you have a task to get done, you put half an hour timer on, you'll get it done within half an hour. You're not going to drag it out all day because you're putting that time pressure on. So I think that is key. At least for me, that's been key, because in the past I would just drag it on and never really know when to call it quits. So I think setting clear guidelines and setting clear goals. If you achieve those goals, perfect. If you don't, you did what you said you were going to do, and then move on to the next. Yeah.
Going through a lot of failures as an entrepreneur, one of the main things that you need to have is a good support system. As you might know, or as you do know, is that at the start, when you first tell them that you're going to start a business, they're all for it. They're telling you, "Oh, go for it, see where it goes." But over time, as you're building up a couple of failures, which is to us very normal, but to them, it might fill their heads with some doubts. Have you seen your support system's mindset change as you iterate over different business ideas or attempts?
Definitely, I would say my own family, to be honest. Um, my dad mainly is quite risk averse, so he's not really. I can tell that he's supporting me, but at the same time, like, I know that you actually don't want me to do this, so I kind of have to like restrain from like either telling him too much or leaning on him too much for advice, because he's actually not in the position where I want to be. Not that any taken away from him whatsoever, but you kind of have to remember that you have to take advice from people that are actually where you want to be, so they can give you the proper advice. They've been in that situation before, so they can advise it properly, because everybody has an opinion, but you have to get the right opinion. So on that for sure. And I think that's also in terms of like when people's opinions change, or when people's view change as you go through failures, just remember that they're coming from their own sort of perspective. Um, and unless they're in exactly where where you would like to be, then I think you have to kind of take that advice with a pinch of salt.
Do you think he'll ever come around?
I think you will, when I actually get a big breakthrough and have my success. I think it'll come around. Yeah, I think deep down he believes in what I'm doing. I think it's just because he's so risk averse. He's obviously has that paternal instinct of like, I want my child to be safe and all that. So
How optimistic were you when you started your first business?
extremely optimistic. Um, I thought that in a couple months I get it done. Took about 6 months.
But when did reality hit then for you?
I think reality hit probably when I had to make the decision between exams and that. I think I was like, okay, well, how much do I actually believe in this, and how much do I believe in this, or how much is this important to me? So I think that was the main thing. Um, yeah, it's definitely a hard decision, and I think it's hard as well to keep up that optimism as you go through failures, because you see them as like, okay, keep get knocked down, get back up, knocked down, get back up. So it's kind of like you have to reframe it and treat them as lessons rather than failures, because failures hurt you, whereas lessons actually improve you, because they give you a little bit more knowledge of how not to do it, and then you can just improve on that every time.
But for a lot of entrepreneurs, the second that sense of reality hits and how hard it is actually running a business, they give up. At the point for you when reality hit, did you ever feel like giving up?
Well, I guess the first time round I did, because I chose exams. I think this time around, because I've been through it before, I'm recognizing that same situation. And again, like I was mentioning before, you only really fail if you quit. Of course, you can pivot. Pivoting is not quitting. Just because you're changing slightly your idea, or you may be focusing on another area, doesn't mean you're quitting. You're just pivoting. So yeah, I think I think you have to recognize that again and just realize that it's hard. It's a hard process. It's uncharted because you're doing something that probably nobody's ever done before. It's extremely uncertain. Um, and it's like kind of in school or in like uh, university, for example, you have a syllabus, you have your core modules. You know that in month 3 you have this task to do, coursework, exams. You pass all them, great, you've got your degree. That's not how it happens in business. So you have to bear that in mind and just know that over time you'll figure it out. And if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. So just think about that.
Carlo, the entrepreneurial mind is a beautiful thing. As entrepreneurs, we try and make anything and everything into a business idea. When we have a business idea, it's very hard to see the full picture at the start. What may seem like one step has so many micro steps to it, and I'm sure you realize that as well. How was it starting your business with that in mind?
Yeah. I think I personally still haven't won that battle against against my own brain, to be honest. I still think, oh well, that'll only take, a couple of weeks, especially with ChatGPT, that only takes, that'll be easy. And then you actually end up doing it and you're like, Jesus, that is a lot more complicated than I thought. I think that's just a human tendency that we have. And we have to watch out for. I think I heard it somewhere that or maybe I read it on Reddit. There's somebody was like, however long you think it's going to take you to make a feature or make an app, triple it, because that's typically how long it takes to actually do it. So I think that's just a rule that you have to like ingrain in your mind and just bear in mind. Okay, what you want to do this thing is going to take 3 times as long as what you're actually expecting it to.
How do you make sure then to stick to one business plan at a time? Because I mentioned before, in our minds, everything's a business idea. How do you not get caught up in the whirlwind of constant new ideas?
I definitely struggle with that. It's I've actually just recently started a new sort of system because all the other ones just didn't work. And I was mentioning before, it was sort of gating it. So say, okay, well, I'm going to work on this idea. Well, first of all, I have a sort of like a Trello board. So just actually go through practically, and then I have all my ideas on one. So as soon as I get an idea, I'll write it down, park it for a minute, and then I have all the ones that I'm working on. I'll just move it and just have one thing that I'm working on at each time. That thing, I'll typically work on it for like 2 weeks to a month. Time gate it, have clear goals. If by the end of the month I haven't achieved those goals, I park it in the failed or dead sort of card, and then I can move on to the next. So that allows me to then not give up on ideas because you feel like you're giving up and leaving one on the table, which is what you're going to do anyways. But it allows me also to just focus on one and give it the time that it needs to then actually flourish or die. But do it in a proper way, because I feel like I've done it a lot of times where I've started something, did it for 2 months, didn't really go anywhere, got bored of it, changed it, started a new one, and it's just like repetitions like that all over again. So
Isn't 1 month a short time?
1 month is probably a short time, but it's not for the whole idea. It's kind of just to get the initial traction, like just get enough sort of conversations with people, so that you kind of validating the initial idea. So for example, let's say the customer service one, the customer service agent, give myself, for example, like a month to speak to 25 clients. If by the end of the month I haven't been able to speak to that many clients, I can regard it as dead, because either my outreach is terrible or there isn't actually that much interest for what I'm offering. So I can give those 2 reasons, then the next time around I can iterate on top of that. I've given myself a short timeline of 1 month purely because I kind of want to iterate a bit faster than I have been in the past. Maybe that is short. I guess we'll see after a few failures.
I guess time will tell. But Carlo, you've only been running this company for 2 months now. It's very new to you. Have you had the opportunity to land any clients yet?
So one, which was a warm lead, It was actually a friend that they had basically their own like e-com store. So basically, what I did for them was automated a lot of the order processing behind it. So they had invoices in different websites that had emails coming in from three different three different websites. So you had to basically just go and grab it, put it in their CRM, and it used to take them like 2 to 3 hours to actually do this. So automated all of that. That was the first one. Um, in terms of the next ones, to be honest, right now, I mean, some conversations with other clients. I've got a couple on the go. Nothing like fully solid at the moment. Again, it's quite early days, so still in those initial conversations. But from the initial conversations, it seems promising. You obviously have to like find the right way, the right angle, the right positioning to be able to like um, make it so that it's something that looks appealing and obviously it's something that is also useful for them. So identifying the right issue to solve and then going for that.
As you might know, clients can be very demanding and they can be very high maintenance. How do you plan to meet their demands while also balancing your main job at Darktrace on top of that?
Obviously, I'm kind of time limited on that. I think I'm just gonna have to like, kind of like brute force it until I'm able to like balance sort of the revenue streams, and then I'm able to sort of give up one of them. Um, I think I have the luck at the moment as well that I'm quite flexible with my actual job because it's client facing. So my actual meetings, I can kind of when I don't have a slot, I basically have free time, so I can dedicate some time to it in the meantime. So I can sort of balance the two quite well. Weekends, before, after work, that type of thing. So I think obviously in the transitioning phase is obviously the hardest bit, and then once you transition out of it, you then have full time to actually do that. Um, if you have I mean, in the future as well, if I have enough margins, you can also just get like a VA or hand off the work to actually somebody um, that is able to carry out the work for you. As a kind of like a CEO, you have to like assemble resources and be able to know where to get that work done from rather than doing all the work yourself. So I think that's definitely if it picks up and there's like a lot of work that needs to be done, I'll probably employ that.
Now, getting a potential client is very exciting. How do you plan to stay grounded? Because for me, the way I see it is that if I start a business and I get news that I'm about to gain my first client, I don't know about you, but I'm going to the rooftops and I'm shouting that. I'm telling everyone, and I might get a bit thrown off plan. How do you plan to stay grounded and stick to the vision, focused?
Yeah, I think it's a skill that I've sort of developed in my own job because really being like, so I'm a solution engineer, so it's quite commercial, also quite technical. So it's pretty much what I'm doing. Like the skills are pretty much entirely transferable. But you obviously get excited when a deal's about to come in, and you're like, "Fuck yeah, I'm gonna close this deal," and then it doesn't sign, and you're like, "Oh, what happened?" So it's a very similar situation. So what I've sort of grown to like think is, okay, well, the deal's not done until it's signed. So to me, it's still open. Like it still hasn't. There's still work to be done. It's still sort of in the works until it's closed, and until I literally receive the email, deal closed. So I think that sort of skill was developed just over time, just knowing that it's not done until it's done. If you know what I mean. So
What's your approach to gaining new clients?
right now, mainly. So to be honest, I've tried a few things, but the one that I'm focusing on at the moment is just LinkedIn outreach. So going through the people that. So I've identified an ICP, so ideal customer profile that I'm going after, search for them in the industry that I'm targeting, connect with them, reach out to them, and just basically just start a conversation with them, speak to them. And that's mainly how I'm doing it at the moment. I've tried cold outreach, like cold email outreach, with like instantly, those kind of like mass email outreach tools. I've tried paid ads, um, and I think, especially at the beginning, what I've learned the hard way, which probably should have known that before, to be honest. But um, I just want to try it anyways. Is you like what the way I see ads now is they're used to amplify what you already have. So instead of using that to let people know, obviously you want brand awareness, you want to let people know about your stuff, but you also kind of need a good foundation already to get that brand awareness, to get that trust from your audience. So if you don't have anything, if you have no followers on your page, if you have about 3 posts, which is what I'm in, no people are gonna look at it and be like, who is this guy? Like, why am I seeing this ad? Type thing. So I think especially at the beginning, um, focusing on smaller volume. Well, obviously it's a volumes game, but instead of targeting loads and loads of people, just trying to go exactly for who you're targeting. Try and speak to them, interact with them in a way that maybe doesn't even scale, but try to give it that really personal touch to get those first few use cases, first few clients, and then sort of get off the ground from there.
No, you've said it yourself. Gaining and having that trust is one of the main factors in a relationship between a company and their clients. If you don't have it, you might as well call it quits from there. What's your strategy for building trust quickly as a young company in a space where credibility is everything?
To be honest, I'm working on that at the moment, and I think that the main way that I'm approaching it at the moment is uh, start to work with some clients, even offer your services for free, maybe for like, doesn't have to be forever, but for a certain period of time, get those use cases in the door, those, sorry, not use cases, case studies in the door, use them as examples that you are who you say you are, you know how to do the work. And then once you have them, then you can present them to the world and kind of have that as, your reviews, people that actually certify that what you're offering is valuable and is actually solve their issues. Um, so yeah, I think that's my main approach at the moment, is mainly through case studies and yeah.
Do you think this trust element will only start to kick in once you've been in, not once you've been in, but once you've been running this company for more than, let's say, a year, maybe 2 years? Do you think that's how it builds up?
There's probably definitely a time element to it, because over time, word of mouth, uh, more followers maybe on the page, more presence, that people can see, more work that you've done, more case studies, that type of thing, for sure. Um, I think there's not necessarily a time period. It's more how many people you've actually helped successfully that can then trickle down onto, um, yeah, just wider trust on your particular brand.
Carlo, in your opinion, why should businesses focus on implementing AI elements into their workflow?
I think primarily is making mind-numbing processes, like I was saying before, um, automated. So allowing people to actually focus on things that are actually going to drive the vision of the company, drive the company forward, rather than focusing on the admin day-to-day tasks. Obviously, those are very important. They need to get done, but because they're so repetitive, um, us as humans, I think we struggle with it, and also we're quite like error prone. Like human error is quite a thing that can happen. Obviously, AI can also hallucinate. It has its own issues, but you can think that over time that is going to improve. Um, so there's definitely that element. I think as well, it's kind of like AI because it can automate all those workflows, and it's able to uh, do sort of the heavy lifting. It's going to allow companies to move so much faster and actually develop a lot quicker, and improve on the past iterations a lot faster. So it's kind of like somebody that uses a typewriter to back in the day use a typewriter to write their essays, does a very good job. But somebody uses a computer, is probably going to be much faster. So it's kind of like I see it as that kind of type of paradigm shift that we're kind of experiencing. If you're not using it, your competitor with AI is gonna use it and win, because it's actually gonna be so much faster. So I think everybody could benefit from it. Um, And I think we're kind of past the stage now where we have to prove that the technology works. I think it's been proven that it works. It's now just implementing it in a way that's actually useful, and not break anything that's already happening, but actually augment what's going on.
Now, luckily for us, your company, Dynamic AI, focuses on this exact problem, and you try and eliminate whatever problems businesses might be having with their workflow. Tell me about Dynamic AI.
Dynamic AI, obviously, right now it's, like I mentioned, in the very early stages. But the primary focus of it is not to just sort of automate anything. It's to actually make sure that what you're automating makes sense to automate and not automate away broken processes. So what I want to do, and what sort of the vision of the company is that when you go into a company, when you approach a company, you kind of try to understand how things are currently being done. Make sure that you are already streamlining the majority of these processes, and then automate on top of that. So you have the best sort of cleanest way to do things. Because garbage in, garbage out with AI models, if you put in a bad prompt, you're going to get a bad response. So it's that same approach with technology as well. You want to make sure that what you're feeding to it is actually useful. And generally, is the vision of the company and the aim of the company is just to help businesses actually implementing this technology and not be sort of skeptical or afraid of it. Just make sure that they're actually making use of this new sort of paradigm technological shift that we're undergoing, and just taking full advantage of it.
What is the purpose of Dynamic AI? But more importantly, what are you trying to get out of it?
For me, is pure interest. Like I'm passionate about the technology. I'm passionate about the field. I see a lot of potential in it. I see where it could be applied, and I think I just think it could be liberating sort of humans from, again, mundane tasks a lot better, and a lot faster than probably technologies have done in the past. So in terms of what I'm trying to get out of it is just being able to work on something I'm generally interested in, passionate about, something that is my own, and have that freedom of being able to choose what I like to work on, what projects I undertake, what problems I solve at the end of the day.
Now, do you 100% believe in this company? Because, for example, the reason why I'm saying this is because some entrepreneurs, they start a business, and for them, it's more about taking the risk and seeing where it goes rather than knowing exactly how it's going to go at the start. What is it like for you? How do you see it?
I wholeheartedly believe about, again, in technology. So I think that there's no denying that it's going to be useful in various different applications. So I think for me is um, finding where the best application is for sort of companies, or even just just genuine applications for it, and just channeling that, let's say, to the best use of it possible. It's not necessarily that sort of the vision of it is obviously quite broad right now, because obviously I'm testing out ideas. I'm seeing where exactly could be the best fit. For example, the customer service one. I personally like the application of the idea. The customer service side of it is just something that needs to be done. Not necessarily I'm super passionate about. It's just I see the potential of it in that application. Um, but yeah, in terms of belief, my main belief lies in how the technology can be applied and where I see it fit. Um, Obviously, the company itself is probably going to, over time, transmute into various different things. You can start with one problem, and then through iteration, it's going to become something completely different. So again, it's very early days to say my belief in exactly what it is right now. But again, the vision is what I full belief in.
I think you can understand that many companies that start up in the AI industry, they struggle with differentiation. How do you make sure that dynamic AI isn't just, another AI tool?
I think right now, to be honest, I'm still not too differentiated. I think that will again come over time, and I think the main thing that I'm trying to achieve is just owning my niche. So finding exactly, especially in the early days, exactly who I'm targeting, why I'm targeting them, what problem I'm solving for them, becoming the domain expert in that particular niche. So it's just me. It's like a category of one. And then once you get find, then you can then branch out because you already know and well established within a particular niche. Um, so I think the main differentiators, like you mentioned, is something it's also on my mind is like, okay, well, anybody can start an agency, anybody can make an app, anybody can make a SaaS platform. So what's the differentiator? What's the moat? What's going to stop you copying what somebody else has done after 3 days? Um, and I think that's mainly just to do with how well you can actually solve the issue, how well recognized you are within the industry, like your brand, your trust, your awareness, um, and also what else you bring to the table on top of those AI models. Yes, anybody can use ChatGPT, anybody can put a bit of knowledge base in it, but how well are you actually going to solve the issue, and what are you going to put around it to make sure that you're actually using the full capabilities of it, not just taking the foundational model and just implementing it.
2 months in, what has been the most unexpected challenge of running dynamic AI?
Unexpected challenge.
One that you might not have seen happening when you first started the company.
Good question. I would say I never realized how hard it actually is. I think you kind of have an idea as to, oh, well, this is going to take some time. It's going to take some thinking. I'm probably going to have to do some reading, some researching. I never realized how deep you actually have to go into it and how much time you actually have to dedicate into it. Like I've got stacks of books that I've read, and more stacks of books that I'm about to read. Just the relentlessness of action that you have to take towards it to actually be able to make it a genuine thing. I think I underestimated that for sure.
It's like we said before, you really don't understand that what might seem like one step has so many micro steps to it. But hopefully over time it will get easier.
I think instead of getting easier, you get used to how hard it is.
Used to, yes.
You develop a bit of a thick skin around it, and you're like, well, I've done this for 10 years. I can do it for another 10.
Have you invested into your business financially yet?
Yeah, so it's all bootstrapped at the moment. It's very early days, so I can kind of fund it myself. I can do the work myself. Um, I'm lucky because of my current job. I kind of have both like commercial and technical skills, so I can sort of speak both worlds. So I'm lucky in that sense. Um, but yeah, so right now it's mostly just self-funded. I think once it gets going, then I'll look for funding. But especially for a service-based business, normally you can just bootstrap it because you have cash flow, so and quite high margins normally, especially if you're doing anything yourself. So I should be able to just self-fund it.
Why is it important? Why is it important to financially invest into your business early on?
Why is it important? Well, I think one, it means you have skin in the game, so you actually put your money where your mouth is. Um, and then uh, for me personally, the reason why I haven't gone to investors or haven't seeked, the ch- I mean, like outside investment is purely because I want to be able to confidently say that this is an idea or a solution that people need before wasting other people's money. I want to be able to, have validated it myself, have done the work myself, and then go and um, go and ask people for money. Because everybody works hard for their money, so I want to be, put it to good use. Um, uh, yeah. No, I was just gonna say the thing that I've mainly invested on as well is just self development. Like, other than obviously the tech stack that you need, but just joining communities, courses, coaching, that type of thing, I think is fundamental to get yourself in a good position and sort of restrict the time frame as well of knowledge.
The reason why I ask why it's important is because at the start of someone's entrepreneurial journey, they try and save that money. They're scared of losing that capital on something that might not work out. Was that the case with you?
No, because I see it as an investment. I see it as, yes, I'm gonna probably waste thousands, um, but eventually one of that thousand is gonna make me millions. So it's natural that you're gonna, like, as an investor, you're gonna lose out probably 99% of the time, but you only need 1% for it to work.
Do you reckon everyone should see it that way though? Or does it only work for certain companies?
I can't speak for everyone, obviously. Um, I think in my particular situation, I'm lucky that I have enough that I can allocate to the business every month, um, and not be sort of strapped where I'm having to eat like crisps. Um,
Pot noodle.
yeah, exactly, pot noodles. So I've got that luck. But I think even if you don't have that, and you need the money, and you really believe in your idea, there's grants that you can take, which aren't, it's not invested money. You don't have to give that back. It's just money that you can use. So if you're confident in that, then there's ways that you can access capital if you need it.
Carlo, what's the big picture? The vision for the next 10 years? What's the big picture for dynamic AI? Are you purely focusing on customer service or have you thought about expansion?
Well, so right now it's mainly customer service because, again, it's very early days. But I think, yeah, definitely expansion. I mean, I want to grow to. I've got a particular goal in mind, and I wanna get to that point. So it's kind of whatever it's going to take to get to that point, for sure. Obviously, again, it's very early days right now, so it's kind of, I'll have to see where it comes to, really.
We are going to test your entrepreneurial skills. Best get ready. Right. What I want you to do, I want you to pitch your business to the audience as if you were trying to gain a client. You can see the time you can see the timer at this top. I'm gonna give you 2 minutes. I think that's very generous. I'm gonna give you 2 minutes. Again, acting like you're trying to gain a client. You tell me about dynamic AI. Starting now.
Dynamic AI is an AI agency that allows you to automate your business processes and allows you to focus on the things that are going to grow your business and they're going to take you closer to your vision. I think the main thing that I would ask a client is, what are your issues? What are your current problems you're experiencing? How do you see AI fitting within your business, if at all? And then kind of tailor the conversation around that as well. So, you know, the way that a business works is a service business, custom solutions that can fit your business or even standard ones, depending on sort of your use case. So depending on what your problems are, we can either sit down and go through a just purely discovery situation where come in, look at what your problems are, suggest solutions, a very consulting approach. And then the other side of it is also architecting those solutions and implementing them. So it's like a double sort of offering. So yeah, depending on I know what your problems are, what your solutions are, you can come to us, ask for us for advice, strategic advice on how to implement AI, how to best use it, and also for the development side.
Great pitch. I'll be honest. Now, lastly, Carlo, as an ending tradition on FMU, we ask every guest that comes onto the podcast if they have any pain points or just anything that they might need advice on, in which our audience and our community can either offer their services or they can even just give you some advice on an issue that you might be having. Do you have any pain points right now or just anything that you might need some advice on from our audience?
Do you want the full list or do you want just one?
I'll take two. I'll take two.
I think I'll give you one. The main one is, especially for like, I would say like guidance on, um, you know, how to sort of steer the business in a way that is kind of avoids them in pitfalls. I was speaking before about mentorship and that kind of stuff. Is like, okay, well, if you've been through it before, you kind of know what the pitfalls are, what the things to focus on are, especially in the early days. I think that kind of information is very hard to get hold of online. It's very hard to like see how that can fit within your framework because you are so inexperienced. You kind of don't have that skill yet to be able to know. So I think that's, to be honest, at every level. Like even if you're a 50 million a year entrepreneur, you want to go to 100, you also are extremely inexperienced in that step. So it's I think it's that thing that I'm mainly struggling with, is seeing the path to sort of the next level. Obviously it takes iteration, obviously it takes time. But yeah, if anyone's in the audience and they've been to that journey, reach out.
Guys, make sure to reach out to Carlo. Carlo, what are your details just so that people can even get into contact with you?
Yeah, you can find me mainly on LinkedIn. It's Carlo Loregian. You can connect me on there, and also my website is dynamicaiagency.com.
Guys, we will be putting Carlo's details in the description below. But we are at the end of this episode, Carlo. I know it's upsetting, but it was honestly a pleasure having you on, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck for not just yourself, just life in general.
Thank you, Albert.
Life
Been a
in
pleasure.
general. To the audience watching at home, do not forget to subscribe. We release an episode every Wednesday at 5 a.m. exactly in time for your morning commute to work. So make sure to tune in. We're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. So make sure to tune in. Carlo, once again, thank you very much for joining, mate.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you later.